Hi, team. Welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Coming up, we talk about our first impressions of Knights of the Eternal Throne. But first, some game and AIE Guild news. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 171. Hey, 171, while you're out, I want you to deliver this stormtrooper's letter to his girlfriend back home. What does it say? It says, I always miss you. Get it?
Aww.
Stormtroopers miss. They always miss.
Yes.
You didn't laugh at that one. With me, as always, is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
I didn't laugh because I was going click, click, click. Oh, I get it. But yes, it's sweet and funny. It's going really well. Yay, 5.0 is here. And the maintenance and the downloads and everything went pretty well, at least for me. I know some people got a little bit stuck in the download, but it eventually chugged all the way through. And yeah, so that part went pretty smooth. And we're going to talk about, our impressions of how we spent our game time today with the new software. But I first want to say that, I spent this last week since, our last podcast sort of basking in resting from DVL and getting that legend status. Kind of surprised to see the achievement got zeroed out. I did not see that one coming.
We'll talk about.
Yeah. I also spent quite a bit of time over the weekend going through all my characters and looking at what crystals they had and trying to spend them all. I didn't manage to spend all of them because I have, some that were left over and they weren't in a good amount that I could buy anything with. And I bought exclusively almost gifts, but I did buy a few decos here and there. And I spent my Warzone comms on decos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was pretty. And then I found, then when I went and I had to go turn in all my the little crates that you get for doing the weekly heroics. I had piled those up for quite a while, so I had to go and empty all those, which resulted in some more crystals, so then I had to spend those, but I think I finally got it all taken care of.
Right, same. I was doing a lot of that. It literally took hours this weekend to go through every character, get all of because I was doing the command crates on my main. I hadn't bothered to finish getting all the command crates to get all my base commanders, my alliance base, up to 20. So
right.
First I was on all the characters that had some, turning in enough to get the command crates, then turning in the command crates, and then I got like all, most of the way done, and then I realized that once you turn in a bunch of command crates, every couple levels of your galactic command, you can go to that little terminal in your alliance base, and you get more crystals. So I was down to 0, and I ended up with another 600 common crystals after turning those in. So then I had to go spend those. And same as you, I did buy a couple of the decos that I didn't have off of the vendor on the fleet, which had the ricotta, like 3 different interesting ricotta decorations. One of them was quite large and now costs 2.5 million credits, but it's the one that goes on a starship hook and looks like the SOA fight, like a mini version of the SOA fight with floating platforms. It's pretty cool. So I bought a couple of those, but then mostly just grade 6 companion gifts, which were dark purple and are now gold, and now also cost 250,000 credits each on the vendor. Did you see that?
Right. Yes, I did. And I read a post in Reddit where someone did the, admittedly minimal math that shows that it's not worth buying them ever.
Right. No, it is not. Don't ever buy them. Except off the GTN from me for 249,000 credits. I'll give you a deal.
I mean, you can get the same amount of influence by using the grade 5 ones that you can buy on the fleet.
Mm-hmm.
For a fraction of the cost. I mean,
yes,
crazy.
Yep.
So essentially, those are not useful now at all. I mean, they're a nice reward to get, but having them on the vendor is not useful.
Well, they And they're just so way out of proportion to the grade 5. It's a little bit crazy. I think they messed up
Right.
there a little bit, just in
I think
planning.
they meant to make them. They said in the in a live stream that they wanted to make it expensive so that you didn't default to that as your main way of getting companion influence. And they did that, but now they made the rank 5 ones the main way.
Right. Exactly, which is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
However, besides that, there is a little bit more news as well.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
In the news, good news, everyone. Big news, of course, of today that everyone was patiently waiting for. It's Bounty Contract Week.
Right. I mean,
So got
that
that
is the
going
big
for
news.
us, which is nice.
Also,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the server transfer low price of 90 cartel coins is effective now. So if you've been waiting for that, it's here.
We had a few guildies who already took advantage of that and moved some characters over. Had a flurry of invites that were going on today as a result. Also in the news, the new PvP Season 8 has started. So Season 7 is ended. You can go to the fleet if you got any of the ranked commendations out of Season 7 and spend those on the fleet. You might have gotten those if you did not achieve a complete rank, or you achieved a rank and had some left over. It's the catch-up mechanism for you to not necessarily get the highest tier, but potentially get one of the prizes out of a tier above you that you weren't qualified for, which is nice. Season 8
Yeah,
starts today, and that should be interesting. We'll have to see
I
how
had
that goes.
I didn't realize, but the season 6 tokens or whatever, I guess went away too overnight. So I had a handful of them, and so I came across them when I was doing my search and had enough to buy a crazy little title. So that's what I did.
Interesting. Speaking of currency
Uh,
conversion,
yes. So the various currencies like the Warzone comms, all the crystals, common, glowing, and radiant are now gone. However, the credits are not here yet. So it's converting from crystals to credits. The credits will come later. In fact, they'll come on Friday, which I guess is that's when the 5.0 is open for everybody. We're actually in pre-launch right now,
right,
and the DVL companion will come then too.
right. As will the cartel coins for the weekly passes if you have any of those that are converting over.
Yes.
There was at least one guildie, Smoke, found one of the quest rewards for one of the early quests, maybe in doing solo space missions, rewarded a weekly pass. So either they're not out completely, or that one's still a little bit of a bug, but those aren't converted over yet either. And finally, Dark versus Light, if the event is over, and if you achieved something, you achieved it, and if you didn't, you didn't. One thing that, yes, and that showed up in the news and everybody noticed today that we can talk about for just a second about how angry it makes us. I'm so angry. Is the achievement in your achievement legacy achievement tab has been zeroed out. You don't have to worry. Everybody's going to get their rewards on Friday for whatever you achieved, which is basically the companion if you achieved that level. But they reset all of the achievement levels. And what did you say, Seema, that was the rationale that they said was why they did it?
In case they ever wanted to run the event again.
Okay. I don't accept
That's
that.
not, yeah, I don't either. That's not a reason.
That's
I mean,
unacceptable.
when I read that and he said, but you're still going to get your rewards and everything, I thought, do you even know us?
Right.
We we do not want 0% on our achievement that we did. We don't like it on even on achievements that we haven't done. We really don't like it on achievements that we've done.
Yeah, for one, that's terrible because it's still sitting in there now and it's 0, and completionists are really going to go crazy over that. For
Yeah.
two, Yes, that's why I did this. I did it to achieve it. I did it for the achievement. I did not do it for dark V light crates. In fact, I was mentioning in the pre-show, I have not opened a single one of the dark V lights crates still. I have them all. I took the armor out of the crates and then left all the other dark V light crates in their original box. You know, maybe I'll open them sometime. That's mildly interesting to me. I did it because I wanted to did it. I did it because I wanted to be, legend, wait for it, dairy, and now it's sitting there at 0. That's harsh.
I don't know. I just feel like they were turning a corner there with communication and everything else. And now I feel like when I saw that, I'm like, do they have humans working there? I mean, who made this decision? It just seems so obvious that we would hate it.
Well, and I was speculating that maybe there was some technical issue, that it was lesser of two evils. It was easier just to zero them out rather than have something else bad happen if they left it in there and people were able to achieve it after the fact because it hadn't been zeroed out or whatever. Maybe there's some rationale that they, with limited time and resources, they decided to just zero it out, but it's still, maybe it would even be better if they explained that than just
Or
saying,
even if they said something came up, it's technical, it's going to mess with the other DVL going forward. I still wouldn't like it, but you'll get your rewards anyway response is like, what?
Yeah. And yes, and absolutely now just take it out. Don't leave it there. If you either fix it or remove it completely. So that's that.
Fix it.
Fix it.
I don't even.
Bring it back.
I mean, gee. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm settling down now. I'm trying.
I'm so angry. Guild and community news. Hey, there is a lot of good community content being created. I would keep an eye out for that if you are in the mood. There's a lot of good streaming going on. There's a lot of good podcasting going on and new videos being created. I saw from some of the influencer crew and others out there already creating videos that are showing how to go about getting good sets of galactic command points and what the new character creation sort of looks like, and a few other great videos. I think Kidley had a couple that he already published today. I think SWTOR was putting some out. So check those out. I think those are, we're sort of on an upswing here of community content that's getting really, really good. Another thing, speaking of community content, Tio on Twitter posted, who's one of the hosts of UtiniCast, he posted a YouTube video of a mannequin challenge in Australia. So if you're not familiar with it, mannequin challenge, it came up with there's a hip hop video rap group. Boy, I'm sounding really lame describing these young fellas playing the R&B. Anyway, there's this video challenge like Vine or YouTube videos that people would do to sort of based on what what group was doing, called the mannequin challenge. You freeze in place, and then somebody with their phone camera or with a camera takes video of everyone frozen in place in some creative positions. Anyway, that's the mannequin challenge.
Yeah, typically it's fairly complex, and it it follows and then only the camera moves. Everybody else is like not moving at all.
Yeah, and the best, to really do it right, everyone has to be completely, really, really contorted movements that look like there's action going on, but everyone's frozen.
Right.
Like I'm punching you in the face, and your jaw is knocked out, but everyone freezes and doesn't move. There's bad ones out there where you can see people moving a little bit, and it's not working very well.
I love even the bad ones.
I was never very impressed by this particular of the YouTube-y meme challenges out there, but this Star Wars video, this is the best one I've seen. This is my favorite, and this one I was actually amused by. So there you go.
Yeah, there's even like a tub of popcorn that's in the middle of, all the popcorn flying out.
Multiple, yeah.
Oh, multiple. I mean, I like them. because I just like the idea that so many people work together on something that has no reward other than just doing it.
Yes, as you said, it's like a flash mob. Actually, although in pre-show, I think you called it a flash dance.
Yes, right. Yes, I did.
It's like a flash dance. Max, you see, it's like a flash dance. Really? You get together with your friends and do a little flash dance on the weekends there, Seema?
First we do some welding, then we do some flash dancing.
First with the welding. And then we're all steamed up from the welding, right? So we do a little flash dancing, and then you got to do the pull the chain
The
and the
bucket
water
of
comes
water,
down.
yeah.
How about guild
Yes.
news? How we doing with the ops teams?
So, really the only team I have news on is Soldiers of Light on Monday nights. We still could use one more person. If you want a DPS, that's great. We could use a DPS. I also want to say, too, that we're not getting together on December 5th, reconvening on the next Monday, which is the 12th. So that's when we're going to start up again. So Soldiers of Light, no ops next Monday. So use the time for leveling and anything else you want to do.
Yep. And we did the same thing with our mandatory fun night tonight. Mandatory fun night was everybody hanging out, a lot of it in voice and Discord, but let's do story and let's do some leveling up. We had people that were already level 70 and queuing up for uprisings. Smoke and Death Row were already doing that way early this evening. We'll be doing that. We'll probably get back on track and do something next week. We'll need more and more people to be level 70 to do the fun things that we want to be doing in the coming weeks, though, for the 5.0 world that we are living in. And if people want to get into the guild and join us for some of that mandatory fun night stuff coming up in the future weeks, Seema, how would they do that?
Just log in on Jedi Covenant and type /cjoin AIE LFO and say hello. And we can say hi back. Do you want an invite? And you can say yes, and then we'll invite you. The best times to do that are in the evenings. Yeah. So if you're on the imp side and there's no one there, or the pub side and there's no one there, check on the other side.
Do it. Or check with us
Yes.
on Twitter, @MaxTheGray and @AIESEMA, and if we're around, we'll jump in game and get you an invite if we don't happen to be there at the
Yeah.
time.
That's right.
Do it. All right. And also, as always, thank you to the chat room. We've had a little help getting the show set up and discussion back and forth. There was a question I wanted to ask the chat room earlier. I forgot what it is, but if I remember, I will ask you guys, because they are also the Borg mind that supports us and makes us look not as crazy and uninformed as we might otherwise. So thank
Not
you
as
for that.
flash dancy.
And we will chat with you guys all after the show. But right now, I am really surprised at how much I feel like the game has changed.
Game changer.
Game changer.
Game changer for
Game changer for the industry.
Game changer. I think it is a game changer. So to preface this, we will try to be no spoilers for the most part.
Right.
Maybe by the end, we'll just give our first impressions of the first chapter, which each of us played. But even outside of that, we're mostly going to focus on things that everyone can see in the game and not story spoilers. So, well, I'll warn you if we're going to get into anything that even touches on spoilers. But we're certainly not going to spoil what's going on in the chapter. Besides that, it might have to do something with the planet that I'm standing on at the moment. But we knew that.
Right. That
the
was already
stream.
covered, right, in the live streams.
So let us kick it off with just general first impressions of the whole, not just the story or everything. So 5.0 has dropped, Seema. First impressions. Go.
Well, I mean, I ran around, the first thing I did was I ran around and looked at what things cost for credits that we used to be able to buy for crystals, and it was pretty much what I expected. I expected that one deco to be pretty expensive. I wasn't really thinking about 2.5 million, but I feel kind of gratified that I went ahead and bought it with crystals. I don't know. So I did that. And then the next thing I did was I played through chapter 1, which I enjoyed very much. And yes, I won't say anything else about that. But then I also went and rolled up a level 1 brand new character because I wanted to, because they were making changes to the new character experience. And I did find that when I was creating the character, you know how now you you have to select sorcerer or assassin right from the
Advanced
character
class,
selection.
right?
Yeah. So that was actually very smooth. I mean, it didn't clutter up the screen. It wasn't confusing. So that part worked great. And then that's pretty much as far as I went. I went and opened my mail and got rid of all my stuff. But yeah, I mean that. And then the abilities I got were some force abilities. I did have one that was to hit him with a lightsaber, but at least I had two force abilities from the get-go, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh,
And then I went and
with your chapter with your brand new character. Yeah, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
I should do
And
that
then
too.
then I decided to go look into crafting, and that was a whole big black hole for me because I didn't do a lot of crafting in the last X Pack, so I'm not up to date on skill levels and everything. And I knew I wanted to make augment kits, so I looked into that right away. So I decided I would go scavenging, and I wanted the grade 10 scavenging mats, and so I went to Darvanis to do that. I only have one character right now that has done enough of the story to get to Darvanis, so that person became my scavenger. And I went through this and I leveled my armor mech, and I got a kit made, and then I decided, I want to make augments. So I made a couple augments, and then I realized, but I want to make crit augments, so that's my synth weaver. And then I started all over again because I don't have an archaeologist that can go to Darvanis either. So now I'm leveling scavenging and archaeology on Darvanis. But actually, I'm enjoying that a lot. There's so many nodes there, and you fight a mob, you farm a node, you farm 6 nodes, you fight 3 mobs. It was fun, and I got a little bit of XP doing that too. So I mean, I think I might do more of that, but I do have to catch up for my synth weaver.
Excellent. Yeah, my first impressions, somewhat the same. I guess first impressions, I right away noticed the graphics update more than anything else on the character load screen. So
Yeah, I have to say that I noticed it on the character load screen.
even less than actually in the game. I think it is there in the game too, but boy, I really noticed it on the character load screen. I don't know what they did, but the textures look. The word that keeps springing to mind. No, they look creamier, like deeper and richer. The textures look richer, and then the lighting, as the lighting lights up your character, looks more realistic, less harsh, glowy. Less instead of just like fluorescent lights, it looks like much more natural. Now, when I sort of zoom into my character here, I sort of see it somewhat too on,
It
up
looks
close.
less like it's been sort of rubbed over. That's why I said crisper. But yeah, I would agree with all your adjectives too.
Yes, creamier, more depth, oaky with a smoky finish.
Right.
The
Notes of
bit of coffee
freshly
and
opened tennis
mulberry.
balls.
Yes, this is how it should be described. But yeah, I that was the first thing I tweeted out too. That was pretty obvious to me. What else did I do? I probably should have noticed and probably could have found it in some of the discussion that was going on, but I did not realize that for the regular crafting mats, they were all growing to grade 10. I knew that there would be a new purple and blue operation mat, instead of exotic isotope stabilizer and whatever the strategic resource.
Dark matter catalyst.
Dark matter catalyst. I knew they were making a new grade of those, but I did not realize that they were making a new grade of all the other materials also. And then, like as you said, making new augments would take the new materials. I thought all the augments were gonna still take the grade 9 materials. So that freaked me out because I would have prepared a little bit more, not all that much more, but I did spend a lot of time today. Well, I was on work conference calls for half the day, so in some of that, I was just logging in and out and running crew missions and gathering materials. I now on my mercenary here, as you can see, I have my crew missions, my crew skills, my underworld trading is 600, my slicing is 600, and my armor mech is up to 600. And just now, as we were talking, I finished reverse engineering the other of the three augments that you can make to get the purple, the new purple level 45 augments for that armor mech is able to make, which is the absorb, shield, and the versatile. Absorb and shield are useful for tanks. Versatile is typically not all that useful, but we aren't clear on level 70 5.0 itemization yet, so who knows? Maybe versatile will become the new hotness, and crit augments won't be as crit and alacrity won't be as prevalent. Until that time, though, I'm still gonna get them all as the 45 purples, so that I have them ready and able to make them. What else did I do? Some of the first impressions, first stuff that I did. Yeah, I did the chapter. I really liked it. I had a lot of fun, and it felt good and it felt interesting. So we'll talk more in detail in future weeks as everyone gets through it when we want to get spoilery. But not only did I like the writing, but I had fun playing it. So there's that. Dark versus light at the server level, I'm not really getting too much of a sense of it. I'm seeing some of the messages pop up, and I know it's out there and things are happening, but I'm not feeling it just yet. Of course, I'm not, I'm not level 70, and I'm not at the point where we would want to be going after the dark versus light commanders that would potentially be showing up as group content to do. But I haven't seen enough or paid attention to enough to even see it swinging very, very much yet. Although people have said there have been times where they've seen one of the sides win more often than others. I think light side's been winning quite a bit, someone said on Jedi Covenant. So that's not really a thing yet. Class changes don't really seem all that dramatic to me just yet. Got my new ability, which I like. It's a pretty strong defensive cooldown. Otherwise, things don't seem all that different yet. As far as that goes, I'm not 70,
I will
of course.
say
Yeah.
about the class changes, I mean, of course we had to redo our utilities. And after I did that, I mean, all my buttons were exactly the same as they were before. So yeah, not dramatic change. I mean, I had to find a new button for responsive safeguards, but everything else is the same.
Right. I did take a little bit of time to look through the new utilities. So my utilities did get reset. Where are utilities? Utilities. I lost my utilities.
It's under the little man.
The little man.
Yeah.
Yes. So your combat
proficiencies.
So I did look through some of these. Some of these were revealed beforehand in some of the preview content. I chose a set that I wanted to play with a little bit and feel out, like this Kolto Surge. I'm not, though, getting below 35% health, which is when it triggers to make my Kolto Surge work yet, so maybe that isn't very useful for soloing. Bunch of new utilities, though, to try out and play around with and see what works for your style of gameplay. Some of them look actually pretty good for PvP, some of the tweaks that they did. Some of them we'll have to see for PvE. One of them looked like it the potential to be increasing DPS just a little bit. The one that modifies my Electronet to every time Electronet goes out adds 15% alacrity for some period of time. That seemed interesting. And like a DPS increase seemed like one I would be taking. But not too much on that. And nothing much yet on Galactic Commander Uprisings because I'm not level 70. The gifts thing, yes, I'm glad I converted most of my crystals to rank 6 gifts because those seem like, well, yes and no. They seem valuable,
Yeah.
but they're only as valuable as someone would actually pay for them, and hopefully no one's actually going to be paying 250,000 credits to get the grade 6 gifts. Although maybe I'll try to put some on the GTN for 240,000 and see if people, are really willing to spend the credits so they have to click less. Maybe that's it.
Oh, one thing I noticed when I was playing around with the crafting trainers is that there's a new level of Dark Project that you make with the new mats. However, the blue mat is the old ISO, but it's exactly the same as the Dark Project that's at a lower level.
Yes,
So there's,
okay.
for making the dark projects anyway, there is still a use for those. That's the grade 9 blue mat.
I see. So I did train that, and I was curious as to what that was. So they both just make a dark project. I see. One of them, maybe it's just whatever you happen to have. One of them takes the
Right.
4 of the old isotope stabilizers, and one of them takes 8 of the new refined isotope stabilizers. Wow, it takes 8. That's a little harsh of the new ones.
Really? It takes the new ones? When I was
Yeah.
looking, it took the old one.
So there's now I have 2 in my armor meching list,
Right.
my crafting list. I have the old one, which still takes 4 exotic isotope stabilizers, and then I have the new one, which takes 8 refined isotope stabilizers, which are the new
But
ones.
if people are using the dark projects to make the stuff that you can make with them, that would explain why there still seems to be a market for those isotopes.
Yeah, that seems like a bad deal, though. Yeah. Oh, exactly. So that's why somebody might still be interested in exotics. The
Right.
tier 1 exotic, which is what's so I noticed they have a name in the tooltip now. They call the old ones tier 1 exotic crafting material, and the new ones are a tier 2 exotic crafting material
Yeah.
found in hard mode flashpoints. There's no such thing as a hard mode flashpoint anymore, guys. Fixed tooltip. Quick run through the patch notes. So we saw a bunch of things in the patch notes. Some of them are things, a bunch of things we already knew, of course. I thought I picked out a couple. Seema, I don't know if you saw anything interesting in there. Maybe we'll just go back and forth a little bit. I was surprised about, and still not completely clear on, I think we solved it because I was talking to some of the people that basically have all their character slots unlocked. They said in the patch notes that 52 character slots are now available. That doesn't mean they're unlocked, and that is per server. So now you can have up to 52 character slots unlocked on a server. What they also did, in addition to doing that, which isn't clear in the notes, in fact isn't even stated at all in the notes, is they, at least for me and for most people, maybe it's only for premium or maybe it's only for early access, but two additional character slots have been unlocked. And you confirmed that
Yeah.
on yours too, right, Seema?
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be related to the character token. I think they did that before when they gave the first character token, they also gave a slot.
Interesting. And then something else that was noted, and you probably saw this when you were creating your character too, Seema. They did give us the new level 65 character token. And with that, when you create a new character, you now have 3 choices. You can create a level 1 character or create a level 60 character and start at Knights of the Fallen Empire, or create a level 65 character and start at Knights of the Eternal Throne.
Yep. You have the option.
So that's interesting that you could not start all the way at 65 if you wanted, but start at 60 with that token, which is nice. You want to cover the notes on the gathering? I know you were out there
Right.
doing it, as was I, and their note isn't completely accurate, so you can help clarify.
Well, they made a note that the new harvesting nodes are now available for all skills, that they can be found in the Sakulan Swamp and in Sakul cities, alongside grade 9 harvesting nodes. I was finding them on Darvanis. But this is pretty accurate. I mean, you always could. I mean, it's been a while since you could harvest at any skill level. I think what this means is now you can harvest you can get the level 10s now because they're in coffee content. You don't have to get XYZ far into KotET content in order to get those mats.
So we did find out from the dev streams that there are 2 new planets coming. So I do wonder if we get through all the chapters, if we'll have the option to travel to open game areas on those planets or not. Not sure either way. I sort of hope we can, and I hope there's gathering nodes there. That I liked how that worked with Zakul and Darvanis. But they did say that there's grade 10 nodes that are showing up on Darvanis and Zakul, and that's confirmed. That's where I was getting my grade 10 mats. Well, that's one place I was getting my grade 10 mats already today to level up. The second place, of course, is you can still continue to use your crew skills and send your companions out to get your grade 10 mats, which I certainly did with scavenging and archaeology. One thing in addition to that, as we're looking at the crew skills, you can see here as you get to level 66 and above, you now have your maximum deployable companions for crew skills goes from 6 at level 65 up to 8 at level 66 and above, which I thought was pretty interesting as well.
It's really quick to go from 550 to 600 when you can send 8 out at a time.
Right, and each of them, especially with the crew mission skills like underworld trading, diplomacy, you'd always get more than one skill up point per companion. So you can basically send all your companions out once and they'll all come back and you'll be at 600. Now I did just see a dark v light server notice, and our light side server went up to rank 3 as we were talking. And it was rank 1 when we started the podcast. So things are happening. I don't know what, but things. They had a note in
It'll all become clear at a later time.
Yes, maybe. They had a note in the notes about a note in the notes, being real descriptive there. Priority target operations are no longer a thing, which you would expect because it doesn't make sense since all of your gear drops come from command crates at this point. So having a priority target operation in the old way, which was the operation in which if you ran it as hard mode, you'd be getting the 224 gear out of it. Yeah, that's not a thing anymore.
Because now they have the daily.
Yeah, so explain that.
Yeah. Well, now there's going to be a daily bonus objective thing. So today it's uprisings. And then tomorrow will be something else.
Can you see it somewhere?
Well, I know it because Smoke can see it, and we were talking about it. So when you're level 70, and then you can open up the Galactic Command, panel, it'll say see that panel right there? It'll say, over one of those icons, it'll say whatever the words are, daily bonus or high priority, or I forget what the wording is, but it'll be obvious.
So I can't see because mine's all grayed out still. So bonus. No, I can see it. I can see it really faintly here because it's all sort of clouded out, but the bonus is in the middle. The middle underneath here is where the uprisings are. So there's 7 possible things, and each day it should change to something else that gets the bonus. So it's bonus over uprisings today. You can see operations, war zones, starfighter, chapters, flashpoints, and planetary missions are your 7 activities that could get a bonus for getting your Galactic Command rank. We also
and there's bonuses for other things too, like there's a bonus if you do all the weekly heroics on one planet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's interesting. There's also
not all the planets. Like you can't do it on Typhon or Hutta or the other starting planets because that would be too trivial. But
so completing them all, clearing a planet completely, gets you an extra bonus. That's nice. That's good to know. Have you played much with? Are you just set to light side on your? Did you commit your allegiance to the light side of the Force? In the little.
I thought
UI
I had to be 70
trigger?
to do that, so I guess I haven't done that.
No, you can pop it anytime. See here, I'm flipping it back and forth. Woo! So there's the new little buttons that show up in your UI. I think you can hide it with the interface editor, but this allows you to change your contribution at any point in time from contributing to the light side versus contributing to the dark side. And as you do that, it will also change your character's alignment, but it isn't a completely locked character alignment. So you could still be a light side character, but be contributing to the dark side for some period of time. You can change your character's alignment, and in fact, if you want to really be tricky, you could be keeping your character's alignment around 0 and flipping back and forth between dark side and light side. And that may become interesting to do something like that, because when the server flips over and see now that our Jedi Covenant is leaning toward the light side, if the light side controls the galaxy and the light side wins and we get to light 5, if your character is light side aligned and the light side wins, then there's one set of end conditions for that win period that you get to take advantage of, which is, I think, a bonus to galactic command points, for example. In the other direction, if you are on the losing side, if you're a dark side aligned character and the light side wins, there's a different set of win conditions, which is you get to go after the dark v light world bosses that will be spawning, and you'll be getting a separate set of sort of constellation rewards, being a dark side character going after those light side those light side commanders. It seems, and I'm seeing from the chat room, that light side seems to be winning all the time so far on Jedi Covenant. If that's the case, they will be tuning it because their intent is that they're going to tune it and have multipliers and bonuses to the various sides. As one side wins too often, that more bonuses will stack up on the other side, and make it possible for this shift of the balance to be swinging back and forth as a pendulum a little more often. So we shall see. I've only seen it on the light side on Jedi Covenant so far as well. If it's too light side, they may put some adjustments in so the dark side will win.
So I did not see that little toggle because it was under my mini map. And I go into Interface Editor, and it's not in there as an element that you can move yet. So I had to move my mini map.
It is for me.
Which, really?
You sure it's not?
Because I've clicked on over and over.
No, it's up to the upper left. It's the word alignment toggle.
Oh, I see. That's under something else too. Okay.
So it's not.
I have to redo my UI.
So it is movable, and it looks like you could disable it. You could hide it if you wanted to as well.
Okay. There. Now I pulled it out. But actually clicking on it does nothing, so maybe I'm already committed to the light side.
Yeah, you are light. If it's lit, the light is lit up. Click on dark, and you'll see the dark side light up, and then the light side will light up. You can click right back.
Can you see what somebody else's alignment is?
What they're contributing to at the time? I don't think you can. Not that I know of.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe you just have to interrogate them. One thing that showed up in the dev tracker I saw is that diplomacy is still is complicated. So diplomacy still yields. So as you run crew missions and you're contributing to the dark side, for example, any crew mission you run can get you dark side points. However, diplomacy has inherent dark versus light points, as it always has, and you get those too. So if you're contributing to dark and you run a light side diplomacy mission, you will get both the dark and the light points for that mission. So it may seem like you're not getting the right point total, or you may be getting some light points even though you thought you were supposed to be getting dark points. With diplomacy, that's working as intended. You're getting the base points for the mission plus the points for whichever you're contributing to. So you might be getting some of both and then canceling each other out. What about...
It's complicated.
Where's your flare, Seema? I see that you aren't wearing enough flare.
What's the minimum amount of flare I can wear?
It's not about... I want you to want to wear your flare, Seema. Do you not have your 20 pieces of flare? You want to explain the flare, Seema?
So there is an icon next to your name if you have the legendary status, not to be confused with legend from DVL, but legendary, which was from a while back, where if you had gotten all 8 classes up to through the class story. Now we have this thing called flare, which means you can turn it off. There's only one thing. There's a new menu up where your titles are, and you can turn this one piece of flare on or off. We can only guess that there'll be other flares coming. As Max says, up to 20.
at a minimum of 20. But again, I want you to be wanting to wear your flare. So if anyone knows...
I'm imagining all these icons just clustered around my nameplate now.
Exactly.
Some have like ribbons coming off of them, little sayings.
Maybe it could like be down on like you could get some suspenders as a new armor type, and some of that flare could be like down on your suspenders.
Yeah, I love hamburgers.
I'm asking the chat room if anyone else knows of any other types of flare that would go in that box. I don't think there are any others in the game, but it's got to be their intent with a drop down here.
Yeah.
That they're at least leaving themselves open to be adding additional flare. Like a Dark V Light Legend status flare, that would be nice. Boy, that's a thing that somebody could have thought of instead of taking away my achievement. I'm an achiever. I achieve things.
I just want them to give back the achievement. You're giving all these out, so I'm just like, give back the achievement.
Finally, the other thing I pulled out as is interesting was that, yes, expertise is gone. So expertise with this PvP stat. If you had not PvP'd much, then this is something you may not have been familiar with. On all of the PvP gear and the crystals that were available for PvP, expertise was a stat that was on all of those, which differentiated that gear then from PvE gear. They've decided for that to go away, and PvP, the gate to higher levels of PvP is based on your valor, which is something you accumulate as you PvP longer and longer. So you still need to overcome a hurdle to get into ranked PvP. But the gear is all the same, and people, as they PvP, will get Galactic Command crates and be able to get the high-level gear, and people doing PvE at the same rates will be able to get the gear. So that expertise stat was no longer interesting. They made it go away. If you have any lightsaber crystals or weapon crystals in collections or in your inventory that were expertise, they have now all shifted to mastery. I don't know yet if mastery is better than crit to be putting into your weapon at level 70 in the 5.0 changed game world, but it might be. So I actually, over the weekend, I bought a bunch of expertise crystals off of the GTN just to have on hand, since they would all be converting to mastery. Because I sort of got screwed at the beginning of 4.0 when it used to be power was the hotness to be putting in your weapons, and then it changed to crit, and I had a bunch of power ones unlocked in collections and no crit ones. So I grabbed some mastery ones. A couple bugs I saw being discussed in the forums, actually a bunch of bugs. Is there anything that you ran into in particular, Seema?
I didn't run into this, but I know people were talking about it in guild chat where your companions and their crew skills not showing up in the UI. And there's a couple of posts about that too, and they say, log in, log out, that should fix it. And it does or it doesn't for some people, but that's one bug that's a known bug that's floating around.
Mm-hmm. I know there's some bugs with Shea Vizsla where you're able to put other customizations not intended for Shea Vizsla onto Shea Vizsla. Don't do it because that's not intended, and in some cases it makes her head disappear. Which, a headless Shea Vizsla is not something you want.
Mm-mm. It's disturbing. I mean, it's really only her face disappears, so it's like a big hole through her head.
There is also a notice about flare that came up in the chat room that Corey or Geek Freak in the chat room mentioned. Flare also modifies the little extra frame around your nameplate, and in raid frames, I think in group frames as well. You can have a little bit of extra flare when you get into a group around your frame. So if you turn it on and off, you can see it showing up and going away around your character frame there. I do think I remember in one of the dev streams that they were talking about some additional flair that you were able to get in some way coming up. So maybe there is something from a flair perspective that they already have in the game and a way to get it. Because now that sounds really familiar. Flair showing up around your character. So somebody looks that up and shoot it to me on Twitter so I can remind myself. All right, I think that is it. There is a bunch of bugs going back and forth, mostly minor stuff. If you notice stuff, definitely post it in the bug tracker in the forums and submit a bug ticket. I'm sure they'll be patching and fixing a bunch of stuff as quick as they can, so that's a good thing. Finally, I think that's about it, but maybe for the last 2 minutes, we'll talk about a couple non-plot spoilery, but a little bit of pre-spoiler of what we did in Chapter 1 for the last 2 minutes here to sort of round it out, because there's a couple really cool things that I saw in there. So here's your fair warning. 2 minutes left of the podcast. We will potentially get into some things that could be construed as spoilers, although we won't give away plot points. So, how'd you like playing as the Imperial Walker in Chapter 1 there, Seema?
That was pretty fun. Although you don't, I mean, nitpicking, but you're actually in the walker. You're driving it.
You drive.
Yeah.
You don't play as. Yes, you're right. But
I liked stomping on things. That was my favorite.
Yes, it was. That was my favorite too. So
although the gravity well and then blowing them up in the gravity well, that made me feel like a boss.
That was pretty cool. It did make me feel like a boss. I think so. I liked how they had like the different types of stormtroopers. Some that you certainly wanted to be using the gravity well on, but then there was the ones in the shields, which the gravity well and the ranged weapons didn't work on, and you had to walk up to and stomp on, pop them like little bubbles. I thought that was pretty awesome. And then there was those ranged ones with the missiles that you had to really kill right away. Did you? I almost blew up my walker. Did you make it through the first time?
I made it through, but it was when I was doing the last fight with the other walker. It was kind of touch and go there.
So I didn't have trouble with that. I had trouble early on. The second, so there was the first repair point and the second repair point. Coming up to that second repair point, I wasn't killing the guys with the missiles fast enough. I was down to 0%. I had 1,400 health left out of whatever, like 1,000,000 that you get.
Well,
so my health was it said 0%, and I had 1,400 health left by the time I killed that last guy, because you can't use those repair spots if you're in combat.
Right. There's one repair spot though. I was very, very low, and I actually went behind a rock to get to it instead of through the mobs. But yeah.
I liked that, and I liked in multiple points in that story how you're walking along and something like explodes and crashes in front of you, or things blow up, or rocks block your way, or a bridge blows up. I liked some of that kind of stuff happening too. That felt pretty impactful and dynamic for what was going on. Finally,
yes.
Did you get the feel? Did you feel a lot of the playthrough felt like the Uprising to me, where stuff just keeps coming and coming, and there's waves of mobs? Were you getting that feeling?
Yeah, I didn't connect it up that way, but yes, you're right.
Do you like that or not like it?
I guess I don't know. I mean, I like being able to kill everything. So I don't like it if it's never ending. But these weren't. I mean, you did get to clear them out, and then you would get to a new spot and there'd be more. So I was fine with it.
Yeah. I think in some of the parts I was, when I'm playing casually and playing through the story, I don't mind just like being able to like pause and look away, or like make some notes or do something else. And that was pretty hard to do at some of those points, when just like waves and waves and more mobs, and you can't really stand around, you can't really wait, because Then they show up behind you, and they show up in front of you, and they're all on all sides. And then you think you're done, and you're out of combat, and then more come, 15 seconds later. And so but it does make it a little more dynamic, and I think it enhanced the gameplay overall, probably.
Plus, I mean, I meant to mention this earlier, but since I played through in story mode, it was very easy. I mean, the mobs, they were very easy to kill. But I find that I was fine with that because there's a lot of them. It's kind of my favorite thing, a lot of mobs, but they're easy to kill. And so the danger comes from the numbers, not from like one or two that just have a lot of health. And I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah, so maybe, I was going to say maybe one day I will go back and play it in veteran mode just to see what it's like.
Right.
But I feel like for me, that's going to be an activity later on down in this part of the game when I'm thinking, what'll I do now? Instead of like I have so many things to do right now. That's kind of far down the list for me because I didn't mind the combat part being easy because I was wanting to get to the next story installment.
Yeah, I was pretty wrapped up in the story, same thing, so I didn't mind it being easy. I may flip one of the chapters over to veteran just to see how it feels in veteran. You can always drop it. No, you can always boost it up. You can't drop it back down, or you can drop it down, but then it counts as down. It doesn't count as veteran. Your completion.
If you want to up the level of difficulty, you have to restart the chapter. But supposedly you can lower the difficulty from within a chapter. But I haven't, since there's nothing lower than story. I haven't tried that.
Yeah. So I may up it to veteran just to get a feel for it on some of the chapters, but yeah, I was half sort of more focused on the story and like taking notes on the side and watching guild chat and that kind of thing, and just keeping it on easy mode was pretty casual and fun. So there's that. I'm sure we'll get more of a feel. I only went through the first chapter. I'm excited to go through the rest of it. I really liked it, as I said, from a story perspective. So we'll talk about that and maybe in a couple weeks once the period of what would that be called? Embargo. the spoiler embargo is lifted, then we can discuss it in detail. But until that time, I think there's plenty to be getting on and doing. I really can't wait to get to be grinding galactic command points. I got the itch.
I do want to check it out.
To grind galactic command points. So that's that. That's something.
Well, if you get your achievements, they're just going to reset them.
We have no more trust in the achievement system.
That's
See
right.
what you've done. Okay, with that lack of trust and our dreams crushed, EPC 171 is ready to head out. Thanks to everyone for joining us on newoverlords.com, on iTunes, on YouTube, or live on Twitch. We will stream again next Tuesday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords around 10:30 p.m. Central. Please follow us on Twitter @MaxTheGray and @AIESEMA. Come find us on YouTube and subscribe there. And certainly come find us on Jedi Covenant, our server, and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. We would love to have you there. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.